Well, welcome to beautiful, sunny Seattle, Washington. Quest Field behind us. This is Monster Energy AMA Supercross, an FIM World Championship. Jason Weigandt and Jim Holley. A lot of people expected rain in the forecast when we came to Seattle, but so far so good here on a Saturday morning. And that's bad news if you're Kevin Windham, because as proven last week, Chad Reed, he gets healthy quickly. Reed's going to probably need another break in this series because, I mean, if it doesn't rain, it looks like Chad might be able to lock this thing up. Windham's going to need some help.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to rain. I mean, you got beautiful skies here. I talked to Rich Winkler earlier today because I walked the track yesterday and it was dry. Yep. And he says, you know what, last night I had to put water on. I put a little bit of water on this morning. So, I mean, they're adding water here, if you can believe it or not, in Seattle. But, yeah, a little bit bad news, you know, for Kevin Windham. But, you know, Kevin, he's got to, you know, we've talked about it all year. He's got to rise to the occasion. He has to overcome deficits, and this would be one. Hey, Seattle's not going to be a rain race, and you're going to have to step it up, and you got to win.
Well, then stepping it up, let's see if anyone else can. Andrew Short put some pressure on Chad Reed about halfway through the race last weekend in St. Louis, but could not close the gap and really put any pressure on. And you would have to think that Reed's only going to get stronger, but I guess in this game you never know. Well,
and I think the other guy that we forgot to mention, and I thought he was going to be strong last week, was Davey Millsap's.
Yep.
He running into the back of, you know, Kelly Smith out there, and that kind of handed Chad Reed the lead. Yeah. I don't know, you know, if he would have maybe been able to not run into the back of Kelly, I think that Millsaps might have been able to steal a win away, or at least get in between Kevin and Chad on that factor. So I think these guys right now, they're all about, you know, if they can get more wins. I mean, you know, once you get that first win, Millsaps has had the second win already in Detroit. You know, he's happy. He wants to get another one before the season closes out.
Well, we've heard that one of the riders who did get a win this year, Josh Hill, his trainer Ryan Hughes told us, putting a little too much pressure on himself. Now, we had heard when Chad Reed got hurt that the guys at Yamaha were really hoping that Josh could maybe get in there and steal some points from Windham, but he wasn't able to put it together in Detroit or St. Louis, and then he's going to have even more pressure now because this is the local race for him. So Josh needs to step it up. It hasn't been a very good last two rounds.
You know, I think if I'm Yamaha or whatever, I'm not going to remind Josh Hill that, you know, he's just a kid. You got to remember that this is his first full season in Supercross. He's smart enough. I mean, he's won a race in Minneapolis. He knows that, hey, now's the time when I got to help out. He helped out Langston last year in the outdoors.
That's right.
I don't think I would remind him. He knows he's a professional rider. He knows what he has to do to help out Chad, and that was come away with some wins. But like you said, putting pressure on himself, he had that 16th place last weekend, you know, that in St. Louis. So, you know, clearly you see the pressure, and he's out there trying to push it, you know, instead of like maybe waiting and relaxing, instead of trying to force the issue early in the race.
Now, last weekend, we wrapped up our first championship of the year, and it was a wild one. I'm sure you folks have watched some of the clips, and our light show will be on this weekend if you haven't seen it yet, between Villopoto and Kennard. It was as good as you could expect for a championship coming down to the wire. It was bar to bar in the most literal sense.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that, and I look back at the video, you know, I saw the speed report. Ralph Sheen had a little video clip of that, and, you know, I stand true to what I said on the broadcast. That is just a racing incident. It just happened. Both riders were going for it, and you feel bad that one of them had to lose the championship because they were both deserving of it. I mean, you know, you talk to Trey Kennard, he comes out, boom, a rookie wins the first three, then Villopoto gets on a streak, he wins the next three, and hey, here we go. It's St. Louis. Whoever wins this one is going to come away with the championship. But, you know, you can't leave nothing on the table, and none of those riders left anything on the table. They were both going for it, and, you know, Trey Kennard came away with that championship. But, you know, I think that's just going to make Villopoto that much stronger in the outdoors. He's going to put an exclamation that, hey, you know what? I am going to win that outdoor championship.
Yeah, and all those riders have one more chance to redeem themselves with our shootout coming up in Vegas, our East-West shootout. But before we get there, we're going to crown another champion tonight. Like you said, basically whoever wins with a little bit of pad for Jason Lawrence is going to win the title, but I don't think anyone expects J-Law to roll around and try to finish third. That's just not his style.
No, I think, you know, you'll have to wait and see how the heat races go. Hopefully they'll have heat races like we had last weekend in St. Louis with those championship contenders, both of them winning their heat races and both getting the good pick on line, because it'll give us something to talk about, like who's going to line up on the inside or the outside of everybody. But, you know, the thing I like is Seattle, there's going to be no rain. I hate when a championship and a one race comes down to a mud race. You know, it's good. I'm glad it's dry here, and like I said, the better rider will win, and we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of Dungey fans out there, and there's a lot of Jason Lawrence fans out there, but I can assure you one thing, there's going to be some sort of controversy in this race. I just have that feeling that something is going to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get moved, or one way or the other.
All right, well, we certainly hope so. We want it to be a good battle down to the wire. Basically, if Lawrence finishes third or better, he wraps up the title no matter what Dungey does, but I'm with Jim on this one. I don't think it's going to go quite that easy. We'll be here with video updates, of course, all afternoon from Seattle, sunny Seattle, and of course our webcast tonight on supercrossonline.com and XM Satellite Radio Channel 144. So stay tuned to us.